Hey guys, so I saw The Last Voyage of the Demeter, and this is one of the movies that I was really excited for because I thought we finally are getting a movie that is actually going to make Dracula scary instead of just a romantic figure or sparkly. Obviously, Edward Cullen is not Dracula, but he represents a trend that vampires have just become so romanticized and toned down from the horror icons that they were meant to be. You know, Dracula's meant to be up there with Freddy Krueger and Chucky and Ghostface, but he's just become a joke, sort of, like we've seen earlier this year, Renfield, which was a fairly entertaining movie, but it once again just showed him as a joke. So when we got this movie, I was really excited. And look, I do have some nitpicks, but overall, this was a really enjoyable movie. So this comes from the director of The Autopsy of Jane Doe and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I forget his name, but he is a really talented director. Those are two movies that I feel like are massively underappreciated. And he did a good job with this. It had a really good cast. We had David Dastmalchian, however you say his name, in one of the leading roles, and he was in another horror movie, Stephen King's The Boogeyman, earlier this year, which was a bit of a disappointment. As anyone who loves Stephen King knows, he is very hit or miss, and we have another one of his adaptations, A Salem's Lot, coming out soon. On a bit of a side note, but yeah, Dastmalchian did a really good job. We had the other guy, I forget his name, but I'm pretty sure he was on Game of Thrones. And yeah, the acting was good, even from the child actor. I had no problems with that. So Corey Hawkins did a good job in the lead role of one of the crewmen on the Demeter. And the woman that they find on the ship, I don't think that's a huge spoiler to say that they find a woman on the ship because it's in the trailer. So she's in the show The Fall, and it was bugging me the whole movie what she was in. Have you ever experienced that where you know an actor or an actress from somewhere, but you just can't place them? My main problem was how they portrayed Dracula, the monster. It was just like a typical CGI monster, and this was a movie that had a good cast. It was moody and atmospheric, and it had that Victorian era, ambiance that I love, that gothic ambiance, like in The Woman in Black or Crimson Peak. It had so many things going for it in this movie. If it had just really tried to make more realistic effects, not so much CGI, typical generic monster that we've seen before a million times, this movie could have just been so much better. But that took it down a lot because it just wasn't scary. I'm not going to say that this movie never had any of those unsettling moments. It definitely did. But maybe I'm just too desensitized by horror at this point, but I didn't find it scary, just unsettling. But it definitely did have those tense, creepy moments for sure. But if they had just tried a little bit harder with Dracula, I really think it could have actually been genuinely scary. And I think he just was shown in his entirety too soon. You saw all of him too soon. They should have kept it for the end of the movie, like take the creeper in Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2, not the other ones, but he was so scary to me, and they focused on, on creating effects that weren't reliant on CGI, and they kept him until the end of the movie, like you didn't really fully see him. So I feel like if they had gone in that direction, this movie would have been a lot better. So this was a fairly long movie. It went for over 2 hours, and you started to feel the runtime a bit in the second act. I have nothing against long movies. I watched the Lord of the Rings extended editions at least once a year. So, I like a good long movie, but this you started to really feel the runtime. It just needed a bit more tension and suspense in the second act. But one thing I would have liked is the girl in this movie. I can't really talk too much about her because I don't want to give away spoilers. But there's a girl in this movie, and I would have really liked to see some of her backstory in Romania. Obviously, the movie's taking place on the ship, on the Demeter, but if we had, say, flashbacks, that would have been really interesting. I've always been fascinated by Romania, so I would have loved to see that sort of Dracula's castle in flashbacks. That would have been really cool. Visually, this movie is really good. Like I said, really atmospheric. And they set it up for a sequel. I can't talk about that without going into spoilers, but I would like to see the sequel. I hope it does happen. So my only other little nitpick is the social commentary with the racism. Look, I'm not saying you can't have those conversations. I'm just saying in this movie it felt a little out of place and heavy-handed, but it was easy to ignore. So all in all, I still really enjoyed this. So I would give it an 8 out of 10. Let me know down below what you thought of it, if you've seen this movie. What's your favourite interpretation of Dracula? I'll always have a soft spot for Buffy's one because it's Buffy. And I'm really excited for Nosferatu that's coming out soon with Bill Skarsgård. I think he is going to be such a great vampire. Well, obviously he's been a vampire already, so has his brother, but this is going to be like a really creepy Pennywise type, interpretation of a vampire. So I'm really excited for that. Plus the director is amazing. I forget his name, but he was the one that did The Northman starring Bill's brother, and he's just got such an eye for detail. So I know Nosferatu is going to be really good. But anyway, yeah, let me know what your favourite interpretation of Dracula is down below, what you thought of this movie if you've seen it. And please subscribe if you want to see more from me, or just give this video a like. It really helps me out. Thank you.